There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes suffocation, when comfort becomes a cage, when everything familiar begins to rot, not from neglect, but from stagnation. It's in that moment, that terrifying, trembling moment, where the soul whispers, "This can't be all there is." And that whisper, it's not your doubt, it's your destiny calling. But you've been taught to ignore that voice, trained to play it safe, programmed to protect what you have rather than reach for what could be. The world told you, don't dream too big, as if big dreams are a threat, as if risk is the enemy, as if the comfort zone was heaven instead of a velvet coffin. And so you shrink, you repeat, you survive. But you were not born to survive. You were born to soar. Risk is not recklessness. Risk is the lifeblood of transformation. Risk is the oxygen of purpose, the bridge between who you are and who you were destined to become. Without it, the fire inside you flickers out, smothered by the wet blanket of routine. Think about the pioneers of thought, of innovation, of leadership, not as historical figures, but as archetypes of boldness. They did not tiptoe into greatness. They didn't politely knock on the door of destiny. They kicked it in. They walked into the storm, not because they were fearless, but because they decided that their vision was worth the fall. And yes, sometimes you will fall. But risk is not the absence of failure. Risk is the price of entry for a life that matters. It's easy to stay where it's warm and predictable. It's easy to wake up to the same alarm clock, drive the same route, speak the same words, dream the same dreams you dreamed 10 years ago but never dared chase. It's easy, and that's the problem. Because a life that is too easy is rarely a life worth remembering. What is safety anyway? A myth? A story? A cage painted gold? The job you think is secure, the schedule you think is solid, the opinions of others you think matter, they can vanish in a blink. The only true security you will ever have is the courage to bet on yourself, to gamble on your vision, to invest in a future that doesn't exist yet, but lives inside you like a roaring lion that refuses to be silenced. Risk ignites potential. It wakes you up. It tears off the blindfolds that comfort so cleverly tied. It demands your presence, your passion, your full attention. Because when you take a risk, a real risk, you are telling the universe, I am ready to live. I am ready to grow. I am ready to see what I'm really made of. But here's the secret. The risk isn't the leap. The real risk is the regret you feel for never jumping. The real danger is sitting on the edge of life, watching others fly while convincing yourself that your wings are broken. You were born with wings. The moment you choose boldness over fear, your life begins to align with the frequency of your dreams. You start attracting people, opportunities, and moments that vibrate with courage. And suddenly the world opens, not because it changed, but because you did. But don't wait for permission. The world will not throw you a party for daring to rise. It will throw stones first. It will test your commitment, your vision, your backbone. It will whisper, who do you think you are? And your only answer must be, I am becoming who I was meant to be. Your life doesn't change when you learn something new. It changes when you do something new. And doing something new always requires risk. The risk of failure, embarrassment, loss, but also the possibility of flight, fortune, freedom. That possibility is where all greatness lives. There is no path without pain, no dream without danger, no transformation without turbulence. But inside every struggle is a seed, the seed of power, of purpose, of potential waiting to burst forth. And that seed doesn't bloom in comfort. It demands the storm. It demands the leap. So ask yourself right now, what is the risk you've been avoiding? What is the leap you keep postponing? What vision are you still pretending is a fantasy because the climb looks too steep? The climb is always steep for those who carry vision, because vision is weight, not a burden, but a responsibility. And responsibility demands risk. You cannot hold the torch of greatness with trembling hands that only seek comfort. You must grip it with conviction, with grit, with the fire of someone who has decided that playing small is no longer an option. But here's the truth. No one tells you. Risk does not begin when you leap. It begins the moment you decide. The moment you make a silent vow that you will no longer betray the future for the safety of the past. That decision, that's the real leap. Everything else is just motion. Most people think the risk is external. Starting the business, ending the relationship, quitting the job, writing the book, showing up. But the deepest risk is internal. The risk of believing in yourself when no one else claps. The risk of trusting your inner compass over the noise of the crowd. The risk of choosing your truth, even when it costs you approval. Because risk will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you stability. It will cost you the illusion that you are in control. But in return, it gives you something priceless. Life. Not existence, not routine, not survival. Life. A life that is vivid, raw, electric. A life that you feel in your bones because you chose it. You built it. You bled for it. You see, safety is borrowed. But risk builds. Risk creates. Risk gives birth to new worlds, new versions of you, new horizons you didn't even know existed. Every breakthrough you will ever have stands on the other side of a moment where you were terrified, but moved anyway. And yes, fear will be there. Let it be. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is the compass. It points to the thing that matters. You don't fear things that don't matter. You fear the ones that do. The risks that reveal you. The choices that refine you. The paths that break you open so the light can finally get in. Don't run from fear. Run with it. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it tighten your grip. Let it whisper, this is the place. Because the edge you've been avoiding, that's the altar of transformation. And those who dare to dance on that edge become the ones who write the story of their lives in fire, not ink. The mind will scream, wait, it's too soon. But the soul will whisper, it's time. And you must choose which voice to follow. One will keep you safe. The other will make you sovereign. Sovereignty doesn't come from waiting for the perfect moment. It comes from choosing to rise in an imperfect one, choosing to act while still afraid, choosing to bet on yourself before the world is ready to bet with you. You do not become powerful by accident. Power is forged in fire. And fire lives in the furnace of risk. If the foundation of your life is built only on what's guaranteed, you will live a life without surprise, without wonder, without the divine interruptions that risk invites. Because risk is how you meet destiny halfway. It's how you signal to the world, to yourself, and to the universe itself. I'm all in. Being all in doesn't mean recklessness. It means resolve. It means you stop negotiating with your potential. You stop asking for permission to rise. You stop looking for signs and start becoming one. Let the world call it crazy. Let them call it foolish. Let them say you've lost your mind, because maybe you have. Maybe you've lost the mind that was programmed for mediocrity and gained the one designed for magnificence. Risk rewires you. It rearranges your soul. Every time you step forward into uncertainty, you shed the skin of who you were and step closer to who you are meant to be. You stop living for validation and start living in revelation. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop settling and start soaring. But don't expect applause. Don't expect the world to understand your fire. Fire terrifies those who've only known shadows. So let your flame burn anyway. Let your courage offend. Let your decisions confuse. Because clarity doesn't come before the risk. It comes after the leap, after the stretch, after you step into the unknown and find out it wasn't empty. It was waiting for you. You are not here to repeat history. You are here to make it. You are not here to be normal. You are here to be necessary. Necessary to the rise of something bigger than your fears, your past, or your doubts. And nothing necessary is born in safety.